Good morning and happy Thursday morning to you, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. Boy, this week has flown by. Lots and lots and lots of stuff going on. Fantastic stuff. Can't take the time to share it with you now. Anyway, hey, don't forget, Preterist Pilgrim Weekend, 2019, July 11th, 12th, 13th. Our theme is How to Know We Are Not Living in the Last Days. Great theme, great speakers, going to be a great time. Make your plans to be with us, okay? All right, we are continuing our study. We're looking at the gap doctrine, all right? Daniel chapter 9, 70 weeks were determined, simplify this, to establish the everlasting kingdom. 70 weeks were determined for the resurrection. 70 weeks were determined to bring in everlasting righteousness, i.e., the new heaven and the new earth, 2 Peter chapter 3. Well, our dispensational friends say Jesus came to establish the kingdom. He appeared after 483 years. However, due to the Jewish rejection of his offer, God withdrew the kingdom offer, postponed it so far for 2,000 years, and established the church in its place. When the rapture takes place and God removes the church from the earth, he will begin once again to do the 7-year countdown, the final week of Daniel chapter 9. That means, as just suggested, there is a 2,000-year gap between the 69th and the 70th week. Now, Thomas Ice, with whom I've had some debates, says if there is not a gap in the text of Daniel chapter 9, dispensationalism falls to the ground. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is no gap in Daniel 9. Period. End of story. Now, I'm going to prove that to you beyond any shadow of a doubt. I've already proven it to you by the fact that the Bible affirms, Psalms chapter 2, Isaiah 42, Jesus absolutely would not fail in his mission. Period. If Jesus came to establish the kingdom, and if he would not fail in that mission, then guess what? The 70 weeks were not postponed. I got to share an anecdote with you here. Some years ago, 1983, I had my very first formal public debate with a Baptist minister who was a friend of mine. His name also happened to be Don. And I was discussing the gap doctrine and how if you say that God had a 490-year countdown, but after 483 years, he changed the plan and postponed that final week for 2,000 years, folks, that's a major alteration. That's a major change of plans. That's a failure. Nowhere in Daniel chapter 9 does it say after the 69th week there will be a long period of time until the kingdom. No, after 69 weeks, the Messiah shall be cut off, the city and the temple shall be destroyed, and the destruction of the city and the temple belongs to the 70th week, to the 70 weeks. How do you take the death of Jesus and the destruction of the city and the temple and place them outside of the 70-week countdown when the text says 70 weeks are determined on your people and on your city? Was it not the people who killed the Messiah after the 69th week? Of course. Now, I want to share with you how I responded in that first formal public debate. When my friend said, just because God postponed the kingdom for 2,000 years doesn't mean that's a change of plans. I got up and I gave the following illustration. I said, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I said, let's just imagine that my good friend tells his wife, honey, we are going to Hawaii on a vacation. But you know, we don't make much money, so we've got to save. We've got to start saving our money now. And it's going to take us 10 years to save up enough money to go to Hawaii and do everything that we want to do. So, starting today, we're going to start a 10-year countdown. We're going to Hawaii in 10 years. Well, 5 years pass. They're gathering the money. 6, 7, 8, 9 years pass. 9 years. 11 months. 3 weeks. 6 days pass. And in that final week, Don approaches his wife and says, honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but the motor blew up in our car today. The transmission went out. We're going to have to take that money we've got saved up to fix the car. We can't go to Hawaii. But, now, honey, this is not a change of plans. This is not a change of plans. In another 20 years, we're going to Hawaii. And I turned to my friend and I said, Don, do you think you could convince your wife that wasn't a change of plans? You know that if God set the time for the establishment of the kingdom for the first century, you know that if there's been a 2,000-year postponement, that's an alteration of the plan. But what did God say about that? In Psalms 89, which I read, quoted, it says this, the Lord said concerning his promise to seat the Messiah on the throne of David, quote from Psalms 89:34, my covenant I will not break. Now watch this and catch the power of it. Nor alter the word that has gone out of my lips. Once I have sworn by my holiness, I will not lie to David. His seed shall endure forever. His throne as the sun before me. Wait a minute, what did God say? What did God say? Let's see. God said that in the days of the Roman Empire, he would set up the kingdom of the Messiah, and that kingdom will never be destroyed. Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7. What did God say? In the days of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire does not exist today. Ceased to exist in AD 476. So what did God say? What was his covenant? What was his promise? 70 weeks are determined to establish the kingdom. And yet we're told, oh yeah, 483 years brings us right to the days of Jesus, right to his incarnation. Oh, but wait, there's a 2,000-year gap in there that the text does not indicate. Says not a word about postponement, says not a word about delay, says not a word about alteration. And yet we're supposed to believe that even though it's been postponed for 2,000 years, that's not a change of plans. Folks, there is no 2,000-year gap between the 69th and the 70th year. What did God say? I will not alter my word. So, if it's the case, and it is, that God predicted that in the days of the Roman Empire he would establish the kingdom, and he did. And if it's the case that the 490 years were determined to establish the kingdom, and it is true, then since the 483 years brings us down to the first century, I suggest to you that there is absolutely no way to get a 2,000-year gap in there without altering the plan. And of course, somebody's saying, well, Preston, what about your 40-year gap? No, guess what? That truly is in the text of Daniel chapter 9. But you got to wait. You got to wait for me to share that with you. But it's there. Not explicitly, but demanded. Absolutely demanded. In the meantime, what do we have? We have Psalms 2 predicting the rejection of Jesus, God laughing at them, saying, in spite of your rejection, I'm going to enthrone my king. Number 2, we have Isaiah chapter 42 saying that Jesus, when he came, would not fail. And number 3, we have God saying he would not alter his promise. What was the promise? The promise was, in the 490 years, he would establish the kingdom. In the days of the Roman Empire, he would establish the kingdom. At just the right time, he would establish the kingdom. And what do we find? Jesus came in the days of the Roman Empire. He came during the time of the 70-year countdown, and God said, I'm not going to change the plan. And that means, without any doubt whatsoever, the dispensational gap doctrine is wrong. Now, I'm going to verify that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to demonstrate to you there is no gap. What I presented in the last 3 days ought to be sufficient, but I'm going to drive the point home even more as we continue our study of Daniel chapter 9, 24 and following in the 70 weeks in light of the dispensational claims. After we've done that, yes, I'm going to talk about the 40-year gap. Now, if we think gap and we think, that's a delay, that's a postponement, we're thinking wrong. That's dispensationalism. If we think 40 years as a predetermined period of time, then we're on the right track. Okay, in the meantime, get a copy of my book, Seal Up Vision and Prophecy. And yes, I discuss all of this and a whole lot more in this book. Go to my website, donkpreston.com, bibleprophecy.com. Order the book. Tell me you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook. I will include, free of charge, a copy of my book, Can God Tell Time? This little book will show you how absolutely ridiculous it is, how desperate it is when people try to destroy the imminence element concerning the end of the age, judgment, and resurrection in the first century. You will just be blown away by how clear, powerful, and undeniable that language truly is. Okay, thanks for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. Do not forget that tomorrow I will be continuing my review and refutation of Brock Hollett's book, Debunking Preterism. Boy, thank you so much for all of the fantastic comments on this. So you don't want to miss video number 3 as we continue our refutation of Brock Hollett's book. In the meantime, I'll see you on the flip side.